My name is Jiaolin. I'm 29, and I'm the kind of woman who keeps her heels high and her standards higher. I speak when it matters, fight when I must, and trust no one who hasn't bled for their dreams. I wasn't born into power. I built my voice in a world that tried to silence it. He was just the company driver. That's what everyone said. Wore the same cheap jacket every day. Sat quietly behind the wheel. Eyes always forward, never lingering. The type you forget, unless you're me, someone who notices everything. He didn't talk much, but he showed up. Rain or shine. Even when no one else did. I was new to the firm. Hungry. Focused. The youngest strategist at a table full of middle-aged men who only remembered my name when they needed coffee. He opened car doors for me like it was his job, because it was. And I assumed he was just another quiet guy punching in miles for minimum wage. Once, I dropped my reports in the rain. He picked them up, no words, just patience. Another time, I forgot my lunch, and he left a sandwich on my desk with no note. I didn't think twice. Because girls like me, we don't get distracted. We build empires from the bottom floor. We don't fall for mystery men with no LinkedIn profile. Until one Monday morning, I walked into a high-stakes boardroom meeting, late and breathless. The top execs were already seated. Cold stares, full suits, unreadable faces. I started to speak, and then the door opened behind me. Every man in that room stood up. And there he was. The driver. But not in a jacket, in a tailored suit. No keys. No smile. And the boardroom? They bowed. Long before that boardroom stood for him. I had already climbed my way through fire. I was the intern who stayed late while others bragged at rooftop bars. The one who ironed the same blouse every night because it was the only one sharp enough to be taken seriously. Nobody handed me anything. I got through life by being louder than the men who doubted me, or quieter than the ones who wanted me silent. So when the driver started showing up, on time, every time, I didn't question it. When he noticed I was coughing and quietly left ginger tea in my cup holder, I didn't say thank you. Because in my world, kindness was a debt. And I already owed too much. But he kept showing up. Once, I was crying in the backseat, silent tears after a failed pitch. He turned up the music, never said a word, and just drove. Another time, I caught him reading a financial report left on my seat. I raised an eyebrow. He just smiled and said, "Your projections are ambitious." That was the first time I ever heard him speak more than 2 words. I should have been suspicious. But I told myself, maybe he's just curious. A bored man parsing time. So I dismissed the way he looked at me sometimes, like he knew something I didn't. And I ignored the fact that security never checked his clearance. Or that our most senior executive once nodded at him, like he was the one in charge. I thought I was the only one walking uphill. Turns out, I was being watched, not as a passenger, but as a test. I didn't know it yet. But he wasn't just holding doors for me. He was deciding whether I'd be ready to walk through them, on my own 2 feet. It was supposed to be my moment. I pitched a bold new strategy to the executive team: lean marketing, risk-adjusted expansion, the kind of ideas that get you noticed or fired. But before I could finish, one of the execs interrupted. Ambitious, he chuckled, like it was a curse word. The others followed. They didn't attack the data, they attacked me. Too aggressive. Overreaching for someone at your level. Let's hear this again when it comes from someone higher up. I stood there frozen, red in the face, my voice caught in my throat. Nobody defended me. Except him. He wasn't even supposed to be in the room. But somehow, the driver, that man, stood near the door, watching everything like it was a play he'd seen 100 times. Our eyes met. I expected pity. Or awkward discomfort. Instead, he nodded. Just once. Like he was saying, "You did fine. Let them show who they are." And then he left. I sat there, humiliated. Not just because they laughed, but because I believed I didn't belong. 2 days later, I got a mysterious email from the chairman's office. "I represent your proposal." Directly to the board. No context. No warning. When I walked into that second meeting, my heart was pounding out of my chest. But this time, the air was different. The boardroom wasn't just filled with executives. He was there. In a suit that fit too perfectly to be rented. And the moment he walked in, they all stood. Not for me. Not for the pitch. For him. Mr. Lin, they called him. Founder. Silent partner. Majority shareholder. The man I thought was a broke driver. He owned the entire company. And suddenly, all the moments made sense. The kindness. The silence. The seat warmers. The reports. He wasn't evaluating my work. He was evaluating me. The room bowed, and I just stared. Not one executive moved until he sat down. Not the head of legal. Not the CFO. Not even the chairman. He didn't glance at me. Didn't explain. He simply took the head seat at the table, the one that no one dared touch. Mr. Lin. Not a driver. Not a sir. Not a excuse me, can you open the door? Mr. Lin. My hands trembled as I flipped open my pitch, but my brain was somewhere else. I had ridden beside him for months. Told him things I never told my coworkers. Trusted him with silence, the way you trust someone who has nothing to gain from your pain. But now I knew better. He had everything to gain. When the meeting ended, he didn't stop me in the hallway. Didn't pull me aside. He simply nodded and left, as if this was normal. I followed. Found him outside, leaning on the same black car that used to feel like a safe place. Now it looked like a test chamber. "You watched me struggle," I said quietly. And said nothing. He looked at me, not apologetic, not smug. Because I wanted to see if you'd rise without being rescued. I wanted to scream. Cry. Run. But instead, I stood still. You let them humiliate me. He shook his head. No. They showed their truth. You showed yours. Then he handed me a folder. Inside was a promotion offer. Not a sympathy gift. A real one. My own division. My name on the door. And a note. Your drive deserves more than a ride. It deserves a seat at the table. I stared at the paper in my hands. This wasn't just opportunity. It was a mirror. And the only question left was, would I step into the power he saw in me before I even saw it in myself? I held that offer in my hands for hours. Not because I doubted its value, but because I doubted mine. Was I here because I earned it? Or because he'd been grooming me for it all along? That question haunted me. I looked in the mirror and didn't see a strategist or a leader. I saw a girl who once borrowed shoes for her first internship, who used to eat crackers for dinner and type resumes on cracked screens. But then I remembered something he said. They'll overlook you until they can't. He had watched me fight, watched me fall, stand, bleed, bite my tongue, and keep showing up. He didn't open the door because he pitied me. He opened it because I had already kicked it off the hinges. I just didn't know it yet. So I walked into his office the next morning. Same man. No driver's jacket. No steering wheel. Just silence. I placed the folder on his desk, with my own conditions inside. I wanted the position, but no favors. I'd earn my seat, and build my own table if I had to. He read it. Smiled. You're not here because of me, he said. You're here because even I couldn't ignore your fire. Then, for the first time, he looked at me not as the man in the front seat, but as the man beside me. Whatever this becomes, he said softly, you'll never be beneath me. And I believed him. But I wasn't sure if I wanted the man yet. What I did want was me. The version of myself that didn't shrink anymore. That didn't wait for recognition, didn't beg to be seen, didn't confuse silence for weakness. In the end, I didn't just ride beside power. I became it. What would you choose, love from power, or the power to love yours?